I'm at UC Berkeley, and I'm asking the question, why do men have to make the first move?
I would imagine my answer to that would be that in like an American context, inheriting a lot from Europe, and this idea of like courtly love and chivalry and men protect the women, and in romance men sort of have the impetus for action, and I think there's still a lot of that left over in our society.
I think it has a lot to do with patriarchy. I was actually asked out first by my girlfriend, but that was like a really scary thing for her to do and really changed. Like it's really intimidating to do. So I think like specifically about how patriarchy is upheld today, there's a lot about how you have to be masculine or what that might look like. So like the concept of asking somebody out first kind of can show that you're in charge, that you have this kind of power, that you have this ability to do this. And that's something that is viewed and deemed as a masculine trait. So breaking down that is a huge important piece of breaking down patriarchy in general. But I think as other people I heard mention, there's a lot of structures that uphold that. So it's kind of mixed with a lot of things. So like the fact that when you are eating at a restaurant and the bill goes to often the man first, that is contributing to that patriarchy. The fact that when you're at a job, right, and you have an interview and you are even like talked to differently depending on your gender, that's contributing to patriarchy. So all these pieces, I think, uphold that, and that's just one element of a lot of things that need to change. Yep.
I think it just fits into overall like our society's views of gender roles, you know. I guess that I mean it's changed, but typically like men are supposed to be seen as more of the dominant one or in charge one in the relationship, so asking out the woman is the first sign of taking like initiative.
I think just because like over time there are so many gender standards and it has just been ingrained in our society. Like religion preaches that, and I think that
That's true.
Now it's really hard to get away from that, even though women are trying to become more of have a bigger sense of self, not relying on men. I think it makes everybody around them and even men so uncomfortable, but I do think it's slowly happening where women can get more power and feel more empowerment, but I think it's just a generational
so you think
ideology.
You think it's because the guys or women are in a inferior position?
Historically, yes.
So that's why. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I thought of it more
they're the head of the house.
That's true. That's true. I feel like in some ways it's like because men are the ones who are like expected to act. Like if there's a crisis, if you go to a guy, usually like, I don't know, don't to like be a dick or something, but I think being the one who acts in a relationship falls on the guy because that's how it's been. It's like a power thing. You're right. I like that answer.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, wait, do you agree with that? I kind of want to take this.
Kind of.
Do you think it's right for like the guy?
No.
Oh, I think it's right. I think it's like there are certain standards that I think are like, although a bit like sexist, but they're like nice to kind of keep. Like I feel like it's nice to have the guy be the one who always asks out the girl, right? Do you like? I feel like
That's
it's
your
nice,
opinion.
You know?
What about if you're gay? 2 girls, 2 guys.
Shit. Okay, no, but like no, I mean like in the situation he's describing, I feel like having the guy be the one to ask out the girl is something that I would like be a bit like, oh, like that's a shame for it to not be a thing in our society anymore, you know?
Because that's what you've been taught your whole life.
I know, but okay, fair.
I think maybe it's like a sense of authority, like they're like the one not in charge, but like a sense of, oh, like they're the one that's gonna take up the chance or offer to ask out the girl, because it's like a hard thing to, it's a hard time to ask someone, you know what I mean, like it's hard to ask someone out, like they're building up the courage to ask a girl out.
It's almost like they're establishing their authority initially in the relationship before it even begins by like, I don't know, I don't want to say like going with the patriarchy because that sounds very, you know,
it's not like they always can ask, like the girl can ask out a guy too,
right.
But like it's like, you know,
it's just more socially accepted for the guy to ask, and I think that might come from a sense of like wanting to establish dominance early on in the relationship.
I think because women like a man who takes action and who is assertive, so by asking out the woman first, you're showing that you're interested and that you want to take action. So
because I guess in our typical patriarchal society, it's always men pursuing what they want, and women have to act like they don't have any desire. Yes.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah.
I think it's comes from tradition and from the past of people being taught from their parents what is right and wrong. And I believe that as being a quote-unquote man or someone who identifies as being male, they have a sort of pressure that comes down from that tradition. And I think it's as simple as that. I think it comes from being taught, and trying to unlearn that is very difficult. So it's something that is changing and should be changing, but it's a lot of built up tradition that's still lingering, and that's the honest answer.
I feel like it's all based around the social structure of like the patriarchy and how men are always taught to be just better in a way, that how they feel the need to be quote unquote the man, and that's the man's job in some aspects of the patriarchy, and I feel like that's why.
Well, males are supposed to be positive and females are supposed to be passive.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Cultural history thing, I would imagine. Usually way back in the day, you'd have to probably ask a girl's father for permission or something of that nature. And while that isn't the same thing that carries over today, it's still in the same cultural vein. Asking a girl out is also a traditionally like masculine thing to do. It kind of signals some form of dominance or outgoingness. It's more culturally expected in men. So that's what I'd say.
I think it kind of falls in the category where like men are taught a bunch of different things, not only that. And I don't know, I've always been raised to do that, but my lady is kind of on the feminist side, and she's kind of taught me that, you know, men really don't have to do that. And I always liked it, like Sadie's dances, where the girls asked the guys out. It's kind of my perspective on it. I don't know.
I guess typically in the past, men were kind of taught to have the power in relationships, and as society is changing and like it's more recognized that people should have equal power in relationships, that kind of old standard has still held.
Yeah. I think it's probably due to like the societal expectation of men to like be the ones to take charge and control the situation, because, you know, that's like being a man in American society and in a lot of like just in general. And I feel like it's starting to shift away, but now it's still like the man is expected to do that.
Yeah. Do you want to give it a shot?
Can I just retweet that? Yeah, no, I think we live in a society where like men are just taught to like just do things first, and if that's when it comes to like courting women and just creating a situation where you end up dating, and they're like encouraged to be manly, is just be insistent, and that comes with like asking women out. And I think it's changing now, especially with like online dating, but it's still definitely an expectation.
I feel like men are always kind of pressured into asking out the women first, because that's the way our gender norms are, and in our society it's very much focused on patriarchy and the men having to take that role, take that charge, and I feel like it is changing now that like we're progressing more as a society.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that it's really exciting to see that more girls are being encouraged to make the first move and be able to take charge of their relationships and their life, but I agree. I think that the patriarchy is definitely the biggest reason that women are kind of discouraged from making the first move, and why men are kind of expected to do so as well. Yeah.
Because that had been a societal norm, I guess. But I think that's rapidly changing. I mean, even someone my age, I get asked out. Yeah. So, and I think particularly with social media and apps and stuff like that, it's kind of more of a mutual connection. So.
It's an interesting question, because my daughter is 36 and I've seen the world through her eyes mostly, and I haven't seen that, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
because she went on a dating website where it was started by women, and the whole object of that website was for the woman to make the first move. And that's exactly what happened. So she just went through all the men and just said, I think I'm interested in him. So, and she could make the first move.